Wheels up. Here we go. So, Adam, you're obviously a dear friend of mine. I was looking at, it's probably early 2006 when we really
Sure.
connected, and that's been, 14 going on 15 years. Man, that's pretty crazy. So, obviously, I have the connection through having your help and support as best man in the wedding and seeing us through that process. So, it's obviously a pleasure of mine to be kicking this Katalyst Series 1 off with you, and just really excited to unpack what, your story and things that you have to share with everybody that'll be listening to this. And I thought just to kind of get started that we could get a 30,000-foot view of your story, and then we can kind of slowly unpack that as we go through the questions.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, I mean, going back to 2006, that's when me and you met for the first time, Tennessee Tech University, and we both graduated there. I came straight out and worked for the fraternity for a year. It was a ton of traveling, great opportunity, and then kind of looked at what I wanted to do professionally, and that was own my own business. So I went through the family business of insurance. I moved the family to Clarksville, Tennessee, worked for an agent there for about 3.5 years while I saved up money, and then moved over to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I own my agency now.
A good quick summary. I know, there's a lot of extracurriculars that you've been involved in. I've often wondered how you're able to, have the presence and the accomplishments and things outside of work in addition to kind of growing your State Farm business. So that's kind of at the core of what, I'd like, the value that I'd like to build this platform for you to share on today. So the theme of, what this first series that I'm doing is a call to action, and that's partly just kind of a declaration that this is the beginning for me, but it's also an important aspect of things for me that I incorporate people like you that know how to take action, have an experience doing such, and can speak to what your journey's been in terms of taking action and being a catalyst. So I guess my first question, just kind of unpacking this a little bit, is what ignited you? What was it? People, certain events, things. What kind of set you on this trajectory that you've been on? If we can kind of rewind the tape back to the beginning per se.
Yeah, man, that's a big question too. Let's take a look at the most recent example of the Kobe Bryant situation. I never was a Kobe fan. I never watched a Lakers game. I wasn't a Lakers fan, but you see millions and millions of people resonating about how great of a person he is. And to me, that is the ultimate definition of what leadership is, right? Like the way that you act, the way that you carry yourself actually indirectly influences others to change the way that they do something because of how you did.
Right.
And that's just always kind of been my MO. It's sewn into my cloth, man. It's who I am. I just want to be able to lead the way, be a path blazer, and really be able to help as many people out along the way as possible. I will say, starting out, if you are pursuing your dream, it's a lot of sacrifice. Oh my God, it's a lot of sacrifice. And it's a lot of simplification. Unfortunately, when you go through the steps of creating your own business, you automatically, naturally want to mimic the things that other people are doing in the same industry, right? But then
Absolutely.
you start finding out the styles of everybody else. and it becomes so complicated. And when you become overcomplicated, you forget who you are, you forget
Yeah.
why you got into it, you forgot your style, everything. Perfect example. So there's a huge consulting firm out in Las Vegas called McKinsey Consulting. They brought
Yeah.
together 15 lawyers, and they took the top 5 banks' credit card statements. The
Yeah.
average credit card statement is 179 pages long. Okay.
Wow.
For credit cards,
Yeah.
the group of lawyers then went through and knocked it down to layman's terms. You know how many pages it went down to? 16.
Maybe 3 or 4, 16.
16 total. And the
Yeah.
reason why is because life has become so overcomplicated.
It's
Simplifying it.
layered. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Simplifying my life and keeping things basic is what allowed me to kind of be able to move in chunks and in
Yeah.
leaps versus steps. Um, Another really
I like.
valuable thing. Do what?
No, I like that. I don't want to interrupt, but I've spent a lot more time in the last month on LinkedIn. Not only just trying to publish some of my own content, but also just diving into influencers out there and just really trying to engage with people in my network and really expanding my network. But one of the things that is easy, even on a place like LinkedIn, easy to, and I think this goes for everybody. Broadly speaking, there's so much good content. There's a lot of good advice, and you can only absorb so much and subscribe to so much before it just all starts to water itself down. Does that make sense? Like for
Absolutely.
example, there's 100 good business books out there, but you can't go read them all and apply them all, right? You kind of have to like draw a line somewhere. Like, yes, this fits me, or I can extract this out of what I've heard or read or whatever. That just was kind of going through my mind as you were talking. I'm glad you said that because that's kind of a relevant thing. I think for a lot of people, especially as you launch into the new year and new decade, you want the best information, right? You want the best advice, you want the best whatever. But at some point, you got to roll with what you got.
That's right.
It's simple.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got to keep things simple, dude. Like one of the people that's a mentor for me told me that Ronald Reagan led his presidency with this rule. Every day in his lapel, he had a postcard, 3x5 postcard, and it had 3 things on it. It was increase income, lower taxes, and beat the Reds. Talking about the USSR at the time. And
Yeah.
so my 3 things were brand my agency, meet with customers, and develop my team. Period.
Yeah.
And when I put processes behind those 3 points, that's when my agency started really taking off. That's when I was able to put one of my team members into agency, have another team member go up to an office manager position. So that's kind of when we hit our first big step, was keeping it simple and having the processes to back it up.
Would any like examples of processes or just the strategy behind that you would want to elaborate on?
Yeah,
That's
man.
a
I
good
mean,
point.
like our big mistake our first year was focusing on result. We would
Yeah.
always focus on result. How many
Yeah.
policies did we sell? How much premium in life insurance did we sell? But here's the thing. Economies go up, economies go down. People have money,
Yeah.
people don't have money. And you can't control
Yeah.
that. What you can control is the activity. And so we
Yeah.
switched from measuring lagging activity, which was the result, to tracking
Yeah.
leading activity, which were the quotes, the phone calls,
Yeah.
the number of times that we asked somebody about it.
Yeah.
We focused intentionally on what we were doing, not what we were receiving. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
another huge portion of that, as far as building the brand, it was being servant leaders within our community. Like us being able to put things in perspective and being able to give back to the community and focusing on those activities really had a big difference in the culture of the office as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I love especially, I mean, you know, my background as an engineer and been in manufacturing. The measuring leading and lagging indicators and use the word activity, I think that's awesome. I think that's very much in line with kind of my thought process, and I think it's awesome. You kind of took your team down that route.
Yeah, man.
Anything else on that before I jump forward?
Yeah, one other thing. Another humongous catalyst for me was when I developed a true inner circle. For a while, I don't want to say that my pride kept me from hitting the next level, but my pride kept me from hitting the next level. I never wanted to ask people for help.
Yeah.
Dude, pride is the downfall of everybody that's great. I never wanted to ask anybody for help. I never wanted to show that I needed help. I didn't want to look weak, whatever. But when I started surrounding myself with people that were driven, that were great, and people that actually make mountains move, that's when I saw that they go through the exact same things that I go through, just in different stages. And so when I developed an inner circle, that's when I hit another level as well.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think it, been in the same position, you know, and from my experience, and you got to kind of learn some of it the hard way, right? I mean,
That's right.
Yeah. No, I think you kind of short circuit the pride when you can develop right. So your inner circle, is that church people, work people, friends of the family, or the kind of mixture? What's the makeup of that?
Actually, it's all fraternity brothers, man.
Okay.
The fraternity, I mean, you know, I serve on bigger than a local level, but every single one of them is my fraternity brothers, and it has influenced me as a leader, me as a father, me as a husband, and bleeding over to my business. I mean, I counted it today because this is one of the points that we're going over. Out of my top 100 customers, 47 of them are Kappa Sigmas, you know, and so that's had a huge impact on me, but that's who my inner circle is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So this first kind of section of the discussion or segment, I really wanted to focus on kind of your coming up as a catalyst, you know, in life and business. You already kind of indicated that you headed down this route with State Farm as a result of a couple different things. One, you mentioned kind of family related there. Do you want to share a little bit more how you really what I guess was the determining factor, so to speak, or maybe I'm more than that wrong, but like what made you finally commit to the State Farm route or insurance in general versus, you know, something else you may have been considering?
Mm-hmm. Let me think about the right way how to word this for a second. I knew that I wanted to be able to set my family up in a position to win later on in life, you know. I knew that the supply and demand for insurance was always going to be there. People have always got to have insurance. And I knew that the security of it, because my dad was an insurance agent as well, I knew that, you know, that did provide. And so that was the main reason why I got into it. But it's also one of the biggest mistakes that I've made in my professional career by saying that I got into it for the money. Because here's the reason why. In this industry, I originally got into it to see it as a dollars transaction and a policy transaction. But the reality is the best day that I've ever had as an insurance agent was when I had just sold this 86-year-old woman an auto insurance policy, and she had towing and labor on it. I then left to go to a territory meeting in Charlotte, and while I was driving down the road, I saw this 86-year-old woman broken down on the side of the road. And
oh my God. Wow.
She went to call the towing number, and they said that she didn't have an active policy because it was just sold. And so I changed that woman's tire for her, and she literally still
Yeah.
comes in every Christmas, brings me a big smoked sausage, and tells me how
Yeah.
much me changing the tire was for her. And so I
Yeah.
guess like when I changed the lens of going for money versus helping people, that
Yeah.
that would have really changed the outlook. And also, the other thing was developing my team. I mean, like my superstar in my office is my office manager. She came
Yeah.
from a bedazzled store or something like that. And I mean, I've seen that girl develop into a great leader, both in the community and in this office. And that's been worth
Yeah.
more than anything that I've made financially. And so I
Yeah.
guess it is just looking through different scopes at what we do. Because if you're going after just money, doesn't matter how much you're making, eventually
Right.
you'll get tired of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a motivator for, a sprint, right? But not the marathon you've been in.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, just to kind of bookend this segment, you've already kind of hit on this when we talk about the inner circle, but are there any values or behaviors or anything else that uh, is kind of that you attribute to your, I would call it rapid development, in early in your career to put you in a position where you are now?
Having a daily routine that I can hold myself accountable to. I do Wim Hof breathing exercises every morning. It's called the Wim Hof breathing method.
Yeah.
I pray every single morning for about 20 minutes, and in that, I just thank God for everything that I have, and I'll list out specific items that I'm thankful for. And I've found that when I start my day with gratitude, it doesn't really matter what comes down the pipe. I've got a lot to be thankful for. And
Yeah.
reality is if I lost everything that I had today and then I got it back tomorrow, tomorrow would be the best day of my life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the attitude that when you when you approach the day like that, it doesn't really matter what happens. It's all going to be okay. I'll say that, and then I'll say a William Shakespeare's quote. I cried when I had no shoes. I stopped crying when I saw a man with no legs. And it just kind of puts things in perspective for you. You know, we always need
Okay.
to be grateful with what we have.
Yeah. Love it. That's awesome.
And I downloaded an app called 12 Minutes. It's $44 a year, and it basically takes every single leadership book out there and gives you the Cliff Notes version of it in a audio center. So like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Listen to that this
Yeah.
morning. 18-minute listen.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. But I do that every single morning as well. Normally 1 to 2 books.
Yeah. Nice. What's your exercise routine? We've talked about that over the years. What are you running still? Or what are you staying
Um,
active?
So I do a small cardio workout every day between 1 and 2 o'clock, and it's just basic stuff, but it's really just clean eating and then having self-control as far as portion control is concerned.